They want to take over. And so now, they're going to have to sweep the floor with all the crybabies out there, of which you've got some over at Morning Joe. Mika Brzezinski was hanging on for dear life. Joe Biden was her be-all, end-all. And now she's trying to come to terms with this. She's not too happy. Here she is, pouring her heart out. I'm so sad, she says on Morning Joe this morning. Watch.
Well, obviously, on many levels, I'm really sad. Joe Biden is a patriot. I love him. I love his family, and I love what he's done for the country. He had authenticity and touch, whether you saw it or not. But like everything about him, even sometimes the stutter and the bumbling was part of the touch, part of the sort of empathic, very loving, very clear-eyed touch that he had that allowed him and enabled him to be an effective president. But all of that turned against him after the debate for all the reasons that we discussed. And he would say, no time to complain about it. Let's move on. It's go time. And Democrats really have a moment of momentum here. And my hope is that they grab it and run with it, get unified, get organized, get coordinated. No more infighting.
Right. You see, because now the quote unquote adults are in charge. That's what they're thinking, right? Now we've got control of this situation. Now Obama is running the show. So here's what I'm going to say. It would probably be a bad thing. Not just probably. I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a bad thing if Kamala Harris were to win the presidency of the United States of America. One, because she's not rightfully in the spot. Okay? Like, let's just call it what it is. Kamala has no real right to be there. She was handpicked by someone other than Joe to be the vice president. And I think the whole putting him out there for a debate, that was a setup. I wonder about those 7 days. They stuffed his head full of facts. Probably kept him up late at night. Somehow gave him COVID. I don't know. But I just think anybody who actually cared about him would not have allowed him. You could have hid behind the whole, he's not a legitimate candidate, blah, 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 blah. As crazy as that is, if you're just trying to be strategic, you don't let your candidate get out there and make a complete fool of himself. But they did. And then they ran hard with this idea that he had to step down immediately. That's Obama. I mean, you could hear it. You could see it. George Clooney's essay in the New York Times. It was like the same exact talking points that we heard from David Axelrod the day before on CNN, talking to none other than Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper, who had a hand in this because he was one of the first out there, full on, in front, calling for President Biden to resign, pushing that narrative. So you had all the Obama guys in the ears of a certain group of reporters. This was not like good reporting, ladies and gentlemen. This was, let me do you a favor kind of reporting. This was that echo chamber that Ben Rhodes used to talk about in the Obama administration. Woo, the echo chamber. We just throw stuff out there and see what gets momentum. And so the pressure campaign built up. And then suddenly he's out. But he doesn't tell us himself. Somebody on Twitter said this, and this was a good point. It could have been that his Twitter account got hacked. And so why would you trust? I'm just saying, like, as a reporter, like, why would you trust immediately that statement? I guess because Jill then retweeted it with a couple of hearts. It's like, she didn't want this. Hunter Biden didn't want this. I mean, this was, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're damned if you do, because basically you've just completely undermined the democratic process. You've undermined the will of the people, the voters. Now the delegates are going to have to, I guess, give their votes over to Kamala because that's where the money is. She signed on the dotted line. Boy, convenient of you guys to manage that one, huh? But you were also damned if you don't, because you were going to be running a guy who was 81 years old and clearly suffering from the beginnings of dementia. So now we're left saying, why is he in office still? Well, Kamala's got a campaign, right? And Obama, apparently, or somebody who's still running the country, not doing a very good job at it. Antony Blinken, my gosh. I mean, we get international disasters going on. We have Mayorkas and Homeland Security making a mockery of our border while simultaneously making a mockery out of our Secret Service. Secret Service reports to Mayorkas. I'm thinking you can impeach him again. All over this one, guys. All over this one. You got to get rid of Kim Cheadle as well. We're going to get to her momentarily. She is on Capitol Hill today. A reminder to subscribe to the show, to hit like, to share. I want to give a quick shout out before we go to the Secret Service director and the brutal whipping that she's getting on Capitol Hill. I mean, it's really something to see, as it should be. Before we go there, a quick shout out to our friends over at American Heart for Gold. This is one of our great sponsors on the Trish Regan Show. We love them, not only because of what they stand for, and they stand for a lot of good stuff. By the way, they contributed pretty heavily to the charity that's going to the families of the lost firemen, the Corey Comatore, and then also the 2 additional people who were wounded in that horror on July 13th. But anyway, this is American Heart for Gold. You can go to Trish Loves Gold, because you know I do, right? TrishLovesGold.com for your chance to get up to $15,000 of free silver via American Heart for Gold. TrishLovesGold.com. You can't forget it, right? Or you can text Trish right now to 65532. Easy enough. Text Trish, Trish. You know how to spell it. To 65532. You can also call them at 1-844-495-1115. 1-844-495-1115. Listen, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, and it's a big reason why I believe in diversification of your portfolio. This is one of the ways to help your portfolio keep pace with all the inflation, because your dollar is increasingly worth less. That's just the reality of how it is right now, and I don't necessarily see that changing. I see it getting far worse under the likes of Kamala Harris, because guess what? She wants to go pay for everybody's education. She's going to find a way to do that with your money, for goodness sake. She wants to defy the Supreme Court. I mean, it could actually get really, really scary. I mean, it's really scary, just what they're doing right now. But even Donald Trump, as much as we like him, and I know he wants to shut down all this frivolous spending, et cetera, it's not going to be easy, okay? You get $34 trillion in debt. I'm a realist. It's not going to be easy. I'm banking on inflation for the foreseeable future. For real. And it's one of the reasons why I encourage that diversification into gold. TrishLovesGold.com.